It's your favorite coach's favorite coach, and the Houston Rockets appear to be in a very difficult position. So much so that there are rumors of them demolishing their entire roster. Keep in mind that quarterfinal series may very well have been our de facto championship round against the two best teams between them and the Golden State Warriors. They have no clear direction, and they are in a state of confusion. Do they stick with their tradition of the Mike D'Antoni system that heavily focuses on advanced analytics? What is Dan Morley going to do with the big superstar players who are owed a tremendous amount of money like Chris Paul and James Harden? In this video, Richard Jefferson and Jay Williams break down the hypothetical situation of the Houston Rockets having a complete fire sale of their entire team. And what this goes to illustrate is just how little people in the basketball community, our analysts, former players, even the general managers of a great organization like the Houston Rockets have no idea what's actually going on, even though it's plain as day. We get so caught up in analytics, we get so caught up with superstars, we do not see what's right in front of our face. Anyways, guys, let's take a look at this video.
Yesterday, breaking news. There was a bunch of it actually from Woj yesterday, and he has more for you this morning. But let's start with this. Adrian Wojnarowski reporting yesterday, Rockets general manager Daryl Morey is being very aggressive trying to improve his roster. He is apparently willing to use picks and making all players available. Now, in the report, Woj specifically said it's difficult to envision a situation where James Harden is involved in a trade. But how about Chris Paul? Chris Paul has an unbelievable amount of money still coming to him. I think I already knew this, but when I saw the number last night, it jumped off the page at me. He's due $124 million over the next 3 years.
Chris Paul was the difference maker between the Houston Rockets winning in 2018 and being eliminated. When he got injured, the team was never the same, and he really had the Warriors against the ropes. One thing that this begs to question, how important is Kevin Durant to the Golden State Warriors? As far as I'm concerned, they are clearly better without him, and I'm going to do an entire video as to why they are. And I'm not just talking analytics or the fact that they are undefeated without him in the playoffs. The Golden State Warriors are the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson. And probably the best thing that came out of that Durant signing for the Warriors was the fact that they did not have to compete with him with Oklahoma City. But back to the Rockets. As far as Chris Paul goes, his biggest problem was how expensive he is. Because of him, they were not able to re-sign guys like Luke Mbah-a-Moute and Trevor Ariza, and that really negatively impacted the team. These were 3-and-D guys who really had a huge impact in the last year. And what does that go to show you? It's the team concept, the variables at play that have influence on the style of the game, the pieces that give a team an identity that is unique and effective, and not just numbers on the page.
He's 37. Until he's 37 years old. That's an extraordinary amount of money. So I guess I would ask, if he wants to make some sort of blockbuster move for the Rockets, is there one to be made?
I don't think so. I actually find it ironic that the team named the Houston Rockets are actually trapped in time and space. Right? It's so ironic. They're trapped because and I'm so confused by this too, RJ. Like, I do not understand. So you want to change up the entire personnel, but you don't want to change up the coach. So what you're saying is that the strategy that the coach has is a championship strategy.
The good thing about Mike D'Antoni is he has a very clear strategy and a very clear identity. And that's something most of these super teams are lacking, is a true identity. If you have that in play, your team is going to be a lot more successful because everybody will be rowing in the same direction. There's not going to be confusion like there was on the Boston Celtics this year with Kyrie Irving doing one thing and the rest of the team insecure with their roles.
Players that you have aren't championship caliber. I don't think the strategy, I don't think the style in which they play offense is championship offense, but you're staying committed to the offense.
I've been convinced that Daryl Morey, and again, I know
That's a good point, though. Once the playoffs begin, offensive possessions become very different than they do in the regular season, which is largely the sample size that analytics are based off of. In the playoffs, game plans break down, and it becomes a possession-to-possession type of chaos. Whoever thrives best in that chaos as a team is going to be better suited for the championship. For example, the Toronto Raptors. They have a clear go-to guy in Kawhi Leonard, and everybody else knows their role. So when plan A, plan B, and plan C go out the window, it is the team's identity that gets them over the hump.
how great he is, but watching some of the moves that he has made over this last year and just kind of how he's retooled his team, I believe he has a plan. So that's the thing that I'm very, very curious to see what this plan is. Like, he's making everyone available. He is not being shy about it. So he knows that there's something and there's an opportunity out there to make his team better. But I agree with you. D'Antoni gets an extension. They change a bunch of assistant coaches, and you make your entire roster available.
Losing the assistant coach Jeff Bzdelik this year was a huge hit to the Rockets. That was largely due to Carmelo Anthony. I believe he did not want to coach Carmelo Anthony because he had problems with him in Denver. Jeff Bzdelik was their defensive specialist coach who focused on giving them an identity of switching. When they had all those long defenders out there on the perimeter, they were a force to reckon with, and James Harden and Chris Paul's defensive liabilities were not as pronounced.
Let's throw this out there. Like, they've been the second, I know they were the 4th seed this year, but they've been the next team in the West for some time now. Yeah. If Kevin Durant leaves Golden State, maybe their best chance to win it is actually next year.
And I mentioned this earlier, I believe the Warriors are much better without Kevin Durant. A lot of people are going to disagree with that. This again proves the point that our analysts do not really understand basketball. If we're talking about the variables at play for the Houston Rockets last year that made them way more effective, that allowed Chris Paul to be a dominant point guard, that had the best team ever assembled apparently, the Golden State Warriors, against the ropes until Chris Paul got hurt. It was the defensive pieces that they had that allowed them to be so versatile, that gave them that identity. Remember, Clint Capella was out there guarding Steph Curry and doing a much better job than James Harden. They had Ariza, they had Bahamute, they still had PJ Tucker, and they keep showing this shot of Clint Capella, and that's because Clint Capella is the first man on the trading block, potentially heading to Dallas. This again shows me how ignorant the Houston Rockets are. You're really going to trade the centerpiece of your defense during your 2018 run, a guy who can guard 5 positions, to one of your biggest in-state rivals, the Dallas Mavericks? That's insane.
Bring the crew back together for one more shot at it without Golden State in your conference and see if we can win it now?
I would say this,
All the best teams, all the successful playoff teams, are teams that retain their core year in and year out and just add supplementary pieces. Again, NBA transactions are like an arms race now. It's like AAU. Everybody is trying to sign the biggest star they can, assuming that they're going to go in there and be just like the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors were not great because they had superstars. They developed their young core into superstars and added very nice complementary pieces. This is a copycat league. Everybody wants to be the Warriors, and they're showing very little respect for the fact that the Warriors do play like a real team. They just have superstars who aren't too proud to move without the ball, who aren't too proud to share the ball, and not too proud to play defense. That's something that a lot of these teams lack.
The loss that they had this year without KD in the conference semis, I think that kind of was eye-opening down. They were like, we might be further away than we think because we're going to be a year older. Chris Paul's going to be a year older next year, so the path doesn't get easier even if Kevin Durant leaves.
They should have figured out a way to keep that exact same team. And it was not so much that the Warriors were missing Kevin Durant, it was that they were missing Ariza, Bahamute, all those players who made the team what they were last year.
Last year in their team, that PJ Tucker was their second best player. And I love PJ Tucker with a ton of love and respect I have for PJ. Like, that can't be the case if you want to be an NBA championship team. And also CP3, like, as a gifted player as is, he's missed 48 games over the past 2 years. So if injury, you keep factoring that into the equation, you have to try to make some moves. I just don't know what other sign and trade opportunities out there you can do for a guy like CP3 that's guaranteed $38.5 million next year and $41.4 the next. I mean, that's insane.
Again, just a complete lack of understanding of the way basketball works, developing chemistry. We are in an instant gratification culture nowadays. And everybody, when things don't work 1 year, regardless of the fact that they had the Warriors just 1 year prior, and Chris Paul was a major factor in that. If something doesn't work, you have to liquidate the team and start over new. That's never worked before. That didn't work with the New York Knicks. That didn't work with the Brooklyn Nets. That didn't work with the Los Angeles Lakers. And nobody's looking for supplementary pieces that are going to complement their team's style of play. Most people think that if you get superstars on your team, you create a super team, it'll work itself out. That's just not the case. It's very rare that superstar players with superstar egos are all going to be able to coexist. But anyways, guys, those are my thoughts on this take. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and we'll see you guys on the next one.